Hello guys, what's going on? This is Negacious. Welcome back to Katawa Shoujo. So, in the last episode, we kinda started the operation to get Misha out of her gloominess and kinda lift her up from what happened in two episodes ago. Because Misha feels like she can't, when we came to the conclusion that Misha can't really accept Shizune's like a helping hand and kinda like her trying to reach to me, like Shizune trying to reach to Misha, and to drag her out of her like depression due to the facts that we learned from episode 60. Also, Misha thinks that I'm just as good as Shizune and I should pretty much just replace Misha as by Shizune's side. Also, Shizune came up with an idea that we should go on a picnic, all three of us, but Misha declined, so me and Shizune went to eat to the roof, and Shizune fell asleep on my shoulder in the roof, or on the roof I should say. And this is the next morning, so let's get going. It seems like I ate too much yesterday, because I wake up in the morning feeling just nauseous enough for it to be a problem. I can't really postpone going into town for shopping though, so despite wanting to roll over and sleep it away, I force myself to get up and dress instead. Somewhere between buying toothpaste and a few other groceries, I end up walking it off. Then I feel hungry. After stopping for breakfast, it hits me how much time has gone by. Let me guess, we're going to go to the Shanghai? I hadn't expected to be out this long at all. I'm not even sure if I bothered to lock my door. I should really go back. Oh! Hey! What's Hideaki doing here? When I get back to the dorm, I see Hideaki standing in front of my room from the entrance. I can think of a few more things more unexpected, and I can't help thinking I might have a heart attack just from this surprise. Fortunately, it doesn't happen. As soon as he sees me, he says hello in his usual detached way. I'm a little slow to reply to him, so he repeats the greeting without missing a beat. Hello? Is something wrong? I'm just surprised to see you here. Not as surprised as I could have been, since it's impossible to mistake him for anyone else. I'd recognize those weird clothes anywhere. Come to think of it, I've really surrounded myself with distinctive looking people lately. Wait, is Chigoro here as well? The thought just crossed my mind. Hideaki's head lolls slightly to one side, a little too easily. Why? Is it unusual to see someone's family come to see them? Well, yeah, actually. So, Hideaki isn't such a robot after all. In fact, it's almost as if he's more caught off guard by the fact that he can even be caught. It's as if he's more caught off guard by the fact that he can even be caught off guard, but he recovers quickly. Nevertheless, in that brief moment, he looks his age. That uncomfortable side of his seems like the more honest, and I wouldn't mind seeing more of it. Not so much though, as I'd only go out of my way to pry. Only Shizune would be that zealous. That my thoughts get so far is proof she's rubbing off onto me. I think you'd have a reason, that's all. There is one. See? Anyway, we can talk while we're looking for her. That's why you're here, right? Shizune is in the student council room. I was looking for you. We might take a trip soon, a family trip. Do you think she would want to come with us? Yeah, I don't know. She's kind of been on the warpath lately, with a lot of stuff. And once she's focused on something, she just won't drop it. I guess you would know that. Hideaki looks much more at ease walking around than I did my first week. So, this isn't your first time here? Just throwing it out there. Of course, completely ignoring the surrounding environment could just run in the family. It explains why Hideaki seems so distant from Shizune. I get the feeling there's more to it than just her deafness. No, but this is the first time I could walk around so much. It's kind of weird here. I bumped into a person who told me women are not allowed in the dorms. Fucking Kenji. Fucking Kenji. After I told him I'm not a woman, he told me I was misleading, and then accused me of being an assassin. I was warned that he was not only invincible, but strong enough to probably destroy the building with a punch, or at least knock over the painting hanging in the hallway. By the way, that painting is actually screwed to the wall. Yeah, that's the guy across the hall from me. He's okay. Oh, I see. Oh, you left your door open. It was unlocked when I came here. I'm a little annoyed that Hideaki knows that. The only way he could is if he had opened my door. But the feeling passes. It doesn't matter. I have nothing to hide or steal. Your soccer ball is really nice. That's one of the things that doesn't matter. If you are a soccer player, the soccer ball is very important. I guess it is. The thought makes me smile. I'm here because my father bought me a new phone, and he wanted to update Shizune in case he needs to call him. I thought that you should know too, since you're her boyfriend, aren't you? Yeah. Why? Just in case there's something wrong or she needs anything. She's deaf and she doesn't talk. It isn't what I meant, but I'll go along. Even if she did, she probably wouldn't call. That's how she is? Well, if you know, coming all the way here for that though, he could have updated her via email. He does not like using emails. That's so old-fashioned. Don't tell me he still does business through regular mail or something. Silence. Now it's my turn to feel awkward. Is Hideaki taking it literally, or did I hit the mark? Nah, I'm sure that what it really comes down to is that he does want to see his daughter and stay in contact with her. Dang it. In the end, they are still family, after all, even though they play at being at each other's throats. Yep, there he is. Mr. Buff McGee! I'm happy to see you. The door to the student council room is open, and Hideaki and I walk in on Jigoro in mid-rant. He sees us, but decides that it's not something worth stopping rambling at Shizune over. This is really shaking my faith in my previous assumption. When I was in the student council, our room was smaller, colder too, like working out of a meat locker. Not like you spoiled kids, what a waste, sitting here in your giant room doing nothing. Meanwhile, Shizune can't understand a thing. Aren't there only 3 of you? That makes having so many desks only seem like an unnecessary display of mindless decadence. Appalling. You must use the desks you need, and not one more. It's part of my code. It may be odd for me to think so, but hearing only one half of the conversation is pretty strange. Also, that's some code. Now that I've arrived, he changes the subject and starts talking about the reason he's here. Hideaki and I are going on a trip. What are you doing? Does everyone who uses sign language mumble while they do it? No, but I'm just an amateur. It helps me think. It's kind of like a force of habit. Just an amateur. Unbelievable. Fine. He turns back to Shizune just in time to catch her shaking her head from side to side. Are you sure you won't be coming along? She reiterates the gesture. Fine. Can you tell her to call me if she needs anything? Yes. I really think sending an email would have been easier, though. What? How does that even work? Because she's deaf, right? She can't fucking hear us speak. I'm not going to read emails on my phone. If she won't speak, she can call Hideaki. I suppose I have to be reached. You would have to call me, or that other girl I would have could call me. Huh, actually, all 3 of you can just call Hideaki. And with that, he swiftly turns and leaves, Hideaki trailing behind him. A long trip, for something that took 5 minutes. Neither of them can really express their feelings very well. In Shizune's case, I have to question whether she would if she could. It explains a lot, but she doesn't seem unhappy with the arrangement. Even so, I wonder if she might be. When the door closes behind them, leaving Shizune and me by ourselves, she lets out a deep breath that seems to echo in the silence of the room. It's totally ridiculous asking me to go on a trip. The timing couldn't be worse. It overlaps the student council elections for one. Second, I haven't even cheered up Misha. If you consider that, it's annoying to even have anything else to think about. Yeah, but you might be too focused on all that stuff right now. Shizune adjusts her glasses roughly. Whenever I'm starting to get the image whenever if you guys have watched Log Horizon or Kiryoku no Chihaisen, the anime, the main character and people with glasses always did that, riding their glasses up the bridge of their nose, and there was the cling, that glint sound. That's what I'm imagining Shizune does each time. Completely, 100% right. The minute I decided I was going to cheer up Misha, everything else went on the back burner, I suppose. I think your dad might care about you more than he lets on. I know. So then it could be a good idea. No. And then again, more firmly, as if for both of us. No. After coming this far, I can't take a break. A vacation would be jarring. It could be so like waking up in a different life. Yesterday was like my vacation, so now we have to go all in. I'm sorry, but it's just how I am. I remember what Yuko said, that she found Shizune brave, in a kind of way. I think I understand what she meant, and I have to agree. Even though it could also be called recklessness, and foolishness, and pointless stubbornness. Stubbornness! I guess you could call it bravery too. However, I can see that there's a fundamental flaw in Shizune's thinking that I hadn't noticed until now. I'm sure that Shizune has reflected longer and more arduously than I could about where she messed up to create such a bad situation between her and Misha. However, as typical for her, she wouldn't let it hold her back and immediately set out to fix the problem. This completely ignores a large part of the problem, Misha herself, moving from the critical introspection to holding Misha up as part of a goal causes the person to get lost in the shuffle. Shizune has said a lot in the past few days, but nothing about how Misha feels. Shizune's way of thinking is abnormal. Few normal people would reject a friend, and then expect things to go back the way they were so easily. Shizune does, because she sees life as, if I had to put it simply, capable of being segmented and compartmentalized. Jesus, that's a doozy of a word. Misha, like anyone else, sees it as a whole experience. A long, continuous journey, where one moment of heartache can follow you forever. For Shizune, an event is an event, and few of them cross over. Life is compartmentalized around triumphs, failures, and decisions, where each one stands as its own story. It's why the thought of a vacation is jarring to her. It's why she can only appreciate people's immediate emotions. It's exactly how someone obsessed with living in the moment would think, really. Likewise, Shizune can see Misha as a friend, but I doubt she has ever thought of Misha as anything more until recently. Or questioned anything about her. Misha is Misha would be enough for her, even if to Misha it must be unbelievably stifling. Shizune is just Shizune to herself. It's likely she doesn't even think about the after effects of her actions in the long term, as long as they stir up other people's lives. To Misha, though, I'm sure it made her seem almost heroic, like Yuko admiring her bravery, or even myself. And Shizune's thought on that sentiment are that it was good she could touch someone's life. But it ends there. It's easy to captivate, much harder to nurture. Nurture, I should say. On to the next thing. Thinking of life in terms of almost completely isolated events has a tendency to isolate a person too. Though she's trying to remedy it now, the point remains. There is simply no way Shizune could have avoided hurting Misha. Her emotional investment in Shizune is something Shizune couldn't account for, so she didn't. Combined with her personality, it was inevitable. Both of them have pretty much told me all that in bits and pieces over the past couple of months I've known them. In the middle of considering their differences, an idea begins to take shape in my mind. Are you working on your plan right now, this second? Your cheer up Misha plan? Of course. I was thinking about it the whole time I was being yelled at. Flicking her glasses up the bridge of her nose with an oddly triumphant air, she taps her finger against her temple. It's multitasking. Really? Isn't it more like you're able to concentrate on something like that because you can't hear? Well, whatever. When I ask what she thinks of mine, it turns out we've both arrived at a similar idea. Okay. What is this master plan of yours? This twisted master plan. Although it makes me feel kind of uneasy, since we're talking about a human being, the first step is to corner Misha. Corner her? Though the situation is a little too much like something out of a cop drama for me, it's come to this because talking to her normally is proving to be near impossible. But we do have classes together, even the very first class of the day. Although it takes a while for the announcement to come, the second that I hear we're going to be working in groups today, Shizune and I try to make sure Misha is in ours. You know, I think Muto assigns a suspiciously large amount of group work and self-study, don't you think so?
But it's easy, so it's okay, right? Right?
Oh god, my Misha voice has really disappeared. No! Yeah? There's other stuff that I've been thinking about lately, but that might not be okay though. Misha nods after each sentence, but brushes it all aside.
I thought about it, and I don't do enough work when I work with you and Shichan, so I'm trying to try harder today. So, don't distract me, Hichan. I have to stay focused.
That was an annoyingly transparent dodge. Shizune doesn't look too happy either, since Misha didn't bother to sign any of it, opting to twirl a pen in her hands instead. From the shaky way she was doing it, I'm sure it was so that she wouldn't sign anything inadvertently. From the way Misha looks, distracted and uneasy, I doubt it because she wants to keep Shizune out of the loop for any malicious reason, although it's still obviously a way of distancing Shizune from herself. Shizune wants to talk to you.
Can't it wait until later, Hichan?
No. Why not now?
We're in the middle of class.
Now she's spinning a pen in each hand. I'm beginning to think that her signing has turned into kind of a nervous tic for her. This isn't a good replacement, although the sight of her dual wielding is pretty impressive. How the fuck would you even do that? After class, then. After class, I don't waste a second bringing it back up. As everyone else files out of the classroom, leaving the three of us alone, Misha takes increasingly longer glances in every direction except forward. Do you want to get something to eat?
Why do you and Shichan keep asking me if I want to eat something, Hichan?
Because we're all headed to the cafeteria and we haven't eaten together in a long time, so why not?
Is this about the student council?
Taking Shizune's lack of reply as Taking Shizune's lack of a reply as admission, Jesus, Misha sighs.
Shichan, is that all you ever think about?
Before Shizune can reply, she leaves. I have to say, I'm not left feeling very confident after what just happened. Neither of us were expecting it to go smoothly, but it would have been nice. Reading my mind, Shizune curls a finger around her glasses for a while before signing. I know what you're thinking, but no. It's not that I think we should give her some space now. I told you I wouldn't give up so easily. Yeah, well, now I'm starting to wonder if it's not too soon. Cold feet. Well, I'm not going to. That would be giving up on her. There's a fine line between helping someone and smothering them, but I just want Misha to pull herself together and stop acting so weird. I know she can do it. Even if she wants to try, people don't change overnight. If they could, the world would be a much easier place. Okay, you win. Then I guess this is the part where we split up and look for her. Though I'm the only one who is really supposed to find her. If I run into her first, I'll call your cell phone. Smiling, Shizune takes out her cell phone, turning it on to prepare. I notice that she has an extremely high number of unread messages, and looking at her expression, so does she. I completely read that wrong. Twirling it around by the strap a couple of times, she grimaces. I don't like using this thing. Why can't I just snap my fingers? And then what? I'm not a dog, and it doesn't travel as far as a phone signal. You're having a lot of fun with this, aren't you? You're having a lot of fun with this, aren't you? Shaking her head from side to side, she continues. It's obvious where she will go. You can't look for her on the school grounds. She would want to go as far away as she can. Check the tea shop. It's usually empty this early. Misha loves to go there if she feels like skipping class, and she loves the parfaits they have there. You really know a lot about her, but she would overthink it and turn it into something that would seem a lot more backhanded than it actually is. So I choose to just nod and leave instead, until I feel her holding onto my sleeve. What? I say instinctively, forgetting that she can't hear me. It feels nice that I don't have to do it all by myself anymore, because I can trust you. I'm really happy. It makes me happy to hear it. I can't think of a way to respond, and end up only nodding again. There she is. That's a cool shot. Heading outside, I catch a glimpse of pink hair and behind some other girl's head. As I head that way, I realize that this isn't the way you want to go if you want to leave school. It's the way to the student council room. If I wanted to avoid Shizune, I wouldn't head there. It's strange that Misha would be going in that direction then. Maybe she wants to talk things over with Shizune. In which case, I have to wonder if letting things play out naturally would be such a bad idea after all, especially if it seems to be going in a good direction. Suddenly, Misha stops and spins around, catching me by surprise.
Surprise! Hichan! Were you looking for me? I had a feeling!
I was going to say, hey, I was just looking for you, but I suppose that's no good now. She isn't even finished with her sentence before she blows past me, heading for the exit. I have to admit, Misha is infuriatingly sharper than I'd expected. Also, surprisingly fast. Although it's more physical activity than I think I should be getting, I managed to catch up with her halfway to the gate. You're really being the rudest woman in the world right now. Can you just stop trying to run away for 1 second? I want to talk to you. Misha turns on her heel, looking mildly amused, and raises her hands as if to tell me to go on. Now that I've got her attention, though, it's hard to think of the right thing to say. Where are you going now?
There's Shanghai!
Can I go with you then? Waiting for her to answer feels like an eternity. It's almost as if I can hear my wristwatch ticking off the individual seconds.
Oh, okay then, Hichan.
I get the sense that she only agreed because she doesn't want to argue anymore today. When we get there, a couple comes in after us, causing Misha to jump slightly at the noise. Seeing that it isn't Shizune, she relaxes again, smiling almost as usual to order a parfait from Yuko and sliding into the nearest booth. You ran off too fast. You could have at least waited to see what she was going to say. Misha's angry reaction tells me that it could be that she was afraid of what Shizune might say.
Why are you both doing this, Hichan?
Because Shizune still wants to be your friend. I guess that's for her, it's kind of like launching a nuclear missile from the submarine. You need 2 keys to do it. What else can she do, though? She isn't automatically signing whatever she hears or says anymore, and I'm sure that is the reason Shizune's been having so much trouble with her. If she tried to just talk it over, you wouldn't listen. Misha's guilty expression tells me I've hit the mark. Do you really hate Shizune that much?
No, Hichan. I told you that.
She answers without even flinching, idly playing with a spoon. Yeah, I know. I'm sure she knows it too, but I wonder if it might be easier if you did. The only thing she's really thought about for the last week is how to make you happy, since Shizune is still attached to you. Yesterday, though, she thought that maybe it would be easiest for you if you just hated her. Since you didn't tell her you hate her, Shizune thinks that you can both still be friends. She's like that, only thinking in extremes. Her parfait is starting to melt, the ingredients coming together in tiny rivers that reminds me of the growing roots of a tree being shown through time-lapse photography.
That's stupid! Shichan isn't that stupid, Hichan! Don't be ridiculous!
It's got nothing to do with intelligence. Smart people can do stupid things. And anyway, isn't it true? I was terrified last week when we talked, but at the end, I was relieved because it sounded like things might go back to normal. I wasn't expecting you two to have a fight right after.
It wasn't a fight, Hichan. It was just me yelling at her.
I've noticed that Misha's voice never really changes in tone, just volume. It's so low with guilt, I can hardly believe it came from her. Either way, I was happy, because I thought you and her could still be friends, since she needs you.
No, she doesn't, Hichan.
So, how do you know that? There's a lot of things Shizune doesn't vocalize, say, talk about. I'm afraid if I say the wrong thing, it'll ruin the mood. I get to finally have a conversation with her, and I don't want to screw it up. I wonder if this is the first time she's had an honest conversation with me. Just because she didn't tell you doesn't mean she doesn't like you.
That doesn't make sense.
Yes, it does. Otherwise, she wouldn't argue back. You don't think so? She picks fights with everyone, so why not you? Obviously because you're her friend, and she values you. And Shizune is hurt too. She's just awful at showing her feelings. Usually does it the wrong way too. But she still likes you.
Hichan, do you remember when I said I didn't want to hate Shichan or upset her? The truth is, I ended up doing both. Now it's like there's, an awkwardness between us. It's hard to explain.
Both of you are so stubborn. You were talking about how you didn't want to drift apart from Shizune, but then you're going to let it happen. And Shizune is just as bad. She wants to be your friend, but respects you too much to be as aggressive as she'd be with anyone else. And I'm sure Misha interprets Shizune giving her space as a lack of caring.
I screwed up already, Hichan. It'll happen again, I'm sure. When I think about it that way, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. It feels like either way, I'll end up making things worse. Then it might be better if I didn't do anything at all, right?
Don't be ridiculous! Why would you even think that way in the first place? Be more positive! It should be easy for you, I want to say, but that would be too presumptuous.
Hichan, I never knew you were so optimistic. I never expected it. You always act so gloomy when I try and surprise you.
No, this is a recent thing, really. I just hate it when people give up easily now.
Haha? No! Huh?
It makes me mad when people give up. I used to think that giving up was kind of like running away, since that's how people always describe it. But now that I think about it, it's usually more like throwing something away. When you run away from something, you can think of it as still being there. So, I was in the hospital, and I didn't just want to run away from my problems. I wanted to never think about them again. Misha eats a spoonful of her grey ice cream goo. Did she only just remember it was there now, or could it be that she likes it that way? Anyway, my point is, you can't do that. People are too sentimental to just throw their memories out like that. It's impossible. Shizune can't think of life in terms of anything but winning and losing. Don't you think she wishes she didn't have to remember the parts where she loses? You can't pick and choose though. That's like wanting to live in a bubble. The worst part is, your way of thinking is so wasteful. It's making you so pessimistic you're afraid of everything. Come on. I grab her hand as I wave Yuko over with the other to pay our food.
Where are we going now?
Back to school before the lunch is over, but I want to check out a few places before then. Although I start feeling tired, even after doing what could be described as on the level of a brisk jog at best, Misha and I eventually make it to the gate of the school with a little over 10 minutes to spare. I didn't even want to come to this school, you know. I didn't have a choice. When I got to this gate, I'm sure part of me was thinking, what a depressing place. It doesn't look depressing at all though. Well, I still thought I had everything figured out. It felt practically like another person. I felt practically. If I could, I'd go back and tell myself to stop thinking he can write everything off with a glance, and acting like his life is already over, and he can never have fun again. The school grounds are still littered with quite a few people. It's lunchtime, so it's typical. This is where you and Shizune had me helping you put together 2 festivals. What a lot of hard work. I thought I don't have time for this. When I look back on it, though, I didn't do all that much. I also didn't have anything better to do. I'd have just spent the time alone. I drag her to our homeroom next, which is empty except for Muto trying to eat a sandwich before classes resume. Every time I thought of either of you, I wished you would leave me alone. Whether it was here or... Leaving Muto to his lunch, we head for a nearby vending machine, and I grab a soda, while I still have 5 minutes to drink it. I've spent an entire lunch period with Misha, longer than both Shizune and I have managed to talk to her in days. Following me to the cafeteria, or trying to corner me after my classes. I never realized we only talked like 4 times. It really was all in my head. I only barely realize it now.
I remember that, Hichan, but I know where all of these places are, too.
Wait, let me finish my guided tour, since we're running out of time. By the way, do you want a soda? Making our way to the stairwell, I'm glad I don't have to pull her by the hand anymore. You get dizzy on stairs, right?
Yeah.
I guess just here is good enough then. I lean against the wall as Misha sits down on the steps, across from me. Do you ever miss the people you went to school with in elementary school or middle school?
No.
That was fast. She didn't even have to think about it. I find myself cringing reflexively. I had more friends in my old school, but I don't talk to them anymore. It almost feels like that was another lifetime ago. Which is sad, really. Sometimes I want to talk to them again, but I know I can't. I'm scared and embarrassed. Things like that. They're too far away for me to go see them. Then I think about calling them, but I don't know most of their numbers. And I left on a sour note. So why would they want to see me again? It feels like I should just forget about it, but I still think about it anyway and regret that I didn't try harder to stay in touch somehow. And I start to think that maybe feeling I should forget about it is wrong. It would be an insult to all those people I had fun with and a waste of all the good times. Like I said before, even if there are some bad times too, it's alright if you can look back on them as happy memories. But I didn't even think about it then. So it was like I woke up one day and realized I had no friends. I just let myself lose all my friends and it felt awful. I'd really hate it if you and Shizune ended up the same way. That's all.
That's all!
It makes me sad to think that you'll do the same thing and push away your friend. Especially because you're not far away from Shizune. I mean, you even live in the same dorm.
Friend! Aren't you my friend too, Hichan?
Yeah. You slept through all of it, but the fireworks were really nice way back at the festival. And my first time seeing fireworks like that. And my first time really seeing the sky in a while. And I'd never really looked at the stars before then either. I had thumbed through a book about them while I was in the hospital though, and learned a lot. Like that stars aren't always just burning, they're more like a constant chain of explosions, so far away that some of the stars I'd be seeing would have burned out thousands of years already. It's that their light would just only then be reaching Earth. I saw a mock-up comparing the size of our planet to the Sun, and then that to other suns. Japan wasn't even visible on the tiny Earth in that book. You know what I'd never realized? She looks at me expectantly. They're amazingly shiny. It's true.
Why are you doing this, Hichan?
Doing what?
I'm not stupid.
I don't know, a bunch of reasons. Because you're Shizune's friend, and I liked how close you were, and maybe I'm trying to tell you that we all have our low points, but giving up is stupid. Anyway, it seems worth the trouble.
That's the only reason?
And you're my friend.
That's it?
Can't I do something for no reason?
You can, but I want to know.
Well, what else do you want to hear? The bell rings before Misha can reply, so she ends up laughing instead. Oh, this is so fucking... I still want to go on. This episode is already 40 minutes long, but... fuck it! The next day, Misha is back in class, although still looking pretty sullen. Not that I was expecting her to magically feel better, that would be asking the impossible considering what happened. This time, it's Shizune who's out. At first, it almost makes me laugh that suddenly whenever one is in class, the other isn't. But thinking about it, there's nothing funny at all about it. In fact, I find it hard to concentrate on my work because of it. It could be just that she's just sick. Or she could simply be skipping class. It could also be something more serious. And I'm tempted to ask Misha if she knows, but I end up doing nothing. I don't regret stepping in yesterday, scared that Misha would do something rash. But now I feel like I should just give her some space. Eventually, the bell rings, and Misha gets up for lunch along with everyone else. I decide to eat lunch in an empty classroom today. Just not this one. Unfortunately, a lot of other students seem to have the same idea, so there aren't a whole lot of empty classrooms to go around. Finally, as I'm about to give up on the idea, I find a dark one at the end of the hall. Oh, it's Lily! Huh. On turning the lights on, however, I find out that this one isn't empty either. Lily's head turns in my direction, which freaks me out because before I realize she probably heard me flipping the light switch. Hello. Hey Lily, I didn't think anyone else would be here.
Is that you, Hisao?
Yeah, but you probably knew that already. I turn to leave, which prompts Lily to quickly speak up.
You don't have to leave so quickly. We can both have lunch in the same room. As a matter of fact, I would prefer to eat with someone here.
I am about to ask her how she knew I was here to eat lunch, but brush it aside. It's just simple common sense, and I don't want to seem too easily impressed. I take a seat at the desk in front of Lily after reversing it to face hers. I've heard that from our minds fill in a lot that we see based on how we remember seeing it once before, or our expectations. Mostly for efficiency, so as to not have mostly for efficiency, so as to not have to process everything you look at individually. That was a lot of small words. Lily never seems to stop to question any noise. I wonder, is it because her mind is filling in context every time? Or does she not care and just sort of accept things as they fall into place? On her desk, there are just a few cookies and a thermos of tea. She must be one of these light lunch types. I bite into my sandwich. Some of the ingredients spill out of the back end.
We haven't spoken in a long time. I'm surprised that you still remember my name. It must be very busy in the studio.
Those little lines are what make Katawa Shoujo Katawa Shoujo.
It must be very busy in the student council.
It's different every week. Some weeks are pretty slow, and some weeks I consider taking a sick day. Hold on, Lily. I need a second to catch my breath from inhaling that sandwich.
And how has it been lately?
Unpredictable. I snap my fingers, which, from her facial expression, upsets her a lot.
I think that you have been hanging out around those two too much.
I guess it's one of Shizune's trademarks. Personally, I like it.
I ignore it.
Her tone doesn't change even slightly, but Lily's mood has obviously dipped. Doesn't seem like it would be easy to. I've been trying to figure out how she can make it so loud, but I think I'm damaging my knuckles. I can't do it either.
Even if it were loud enough to break the windows, I would ignore it. I'm not a trained seal. I have that luxury.
Are you still mad about that? I ask the question as carefully and diplomatically as possible, although in the end I'm only asking to satisfy my curiosity.
No, of course not, although I don't like Shizune. We were in the student council together for a brief time.
I heard.
I wish you hadn't been so quick to join. I don't like the way Shizune runs the student council. Did you know that she's scared of most of the old members? That is why I think she tries to surround herself with people who won't oppose her. And they don't. It's like a dependency bubble.
I'm sure that Shizune is aware of what Lily is saying. After all, I can remember her specifically denying it a couple of times, which I'd always thought was strange. They say the more specific a denial is, the more likely it is that the allegations are true. In this case, I think I'd disagree. Shizune is the one subject on which her opinion could be called less than objective. Did you tell her that?
Very often.
Lily stops to polish off the last of her tea. I'm running behind on finishing my own lunch and take advantage of the pause to eat as much as possible.
All of her friends are related to the student council, like Misha. I heard things are touchy between her and Misha. Did they have a fight?
Not really.
Is that so? Either way, there is no point in attempting to force them to make up. Always try to confront everything head on is what Shizune would do, but it does not work in the real world. At some point,
It's just being stubborn, not bravery or good intentions. That's a little general, don't you think? I suppose. What do you think is the best to have tea? Cookies or scones? I like them both in different ways. I couldn't possibly choose. I personally prefer scones, to be honest. I don't like people who constantly force me to pick sides or want to turn everything into a contest. When I joined the student council, I thought it would just mean helping everything run smoothly and helping people out, like being the class representative. Instead, every day consisted of having Shizune stomp around, using Misha like a megaphone to talk about how we had to outdo the last student council and create more and more events and make them increasingly larger. But then the two of you basically want the same thing. All that stuff makes things exciting. I didn't really get it at first, but it's not some ego project. People like fireworks, and soba huts, candied apples, and dress-up days or whatever. The more the student council does, the more responsibility the school gives us. It means extra work, but in a way, it also means more freedom. You have the pull to do things like organize a big festival, and they'll think you're capable enough to handle it instead of just rejecting it instantly. Anyway, I want that too now. It's got its share of pointless busy work, but there are moments that make it worth it, like when everything comes together. It gives me something to do. Fuck, my TV just shut down. Wait. If I were to just go to school day in, day out, I think I'd explode. I think Yamaku is much more easygoing than other schools. Yamaku isn't other schools though. I start slipping into another, familiar mentality. In some ways, it's almost too easygoing. And if I were a different person, I'm sure I would find how easygoing it was to be stifling. Though in any other school, such easiness would just be the normal flow of life. But here, the eventfulness would be compounded. It would feel different, because I'm not a normal person after all. I'd be reminded of it every time I heard the blood beating in my temples. I'd feel patronized and weak, and my bitterness would only grow. Yeah, sure. The point is that I think I understand what it's all about now. You're really giving Shizune too much of a hard time. That might be true, but when it comes to how she treats individual people, she does not do very well. Unfortunately, that one's a little harder to argue. Do you have the time? I like to go to class 10 minutes before the bell. Then you're right on time if you go now. Excusing herself, Lily leaves, and I sit listening to the clicking of her cane on the floor, fading into the mumble of other students having conversations in the other classrooms and in the hall. I feel exhausted and completely forget that I want to talk to Shizune today. I have no idea how this is all going to end. After classes the next day, I instantly head towards the student council room to talk to Shizune. Even though she's in class, trying to cut her off and have a conversation with her near the doorway or around in the hall could be a little obstructive. Better to try and meet up with her at the student council room. I take my time with heading there, getting a juice from the vending machine on the way. I also go over what I want to say to her in my head. It's nothing too important, only a few questions about upcoming events. The door is unlocked when I get there. I think the room was empty too, if I couldn't see Shizune's bag perched on her desk, with the top of her head peeking from behind it. It looks as though she's built herself a little fort. Wise-caged hard playing. Shizune gives a wave from behind the bag, before picking it up with a finger and moving it out of the way. But after that, she immediately goes back to tapping her pen against the desk, and staring into a checklist as if it held the meaning of life itself in it.
What do you need?
I wanted to see if there was anything I could help with. Like all that over there. What are those? I point to the medium-sized stack of folders beside her, but she waves her hand dismissively.
I can handle it myself.
Then what about the elections? Also, where's Misha?
It's going okay. I told Misha I was going to handle everything myself.
Why? Shizune spins a pen in her hand slowly, working it between each of her fingers, like a needle through a patch of cloth.
No reason.
Really?
No reason.
She signs it again for emphasis to shut down the notion that there's anything more behind it. But there is, since she's definitely not acting normally. What's with the silent treatment is a phrase that immediately springs to mind, even though it is hardly the time for humor. It does describe how I feel. We can't communicate normally, so I appreciate the few ways we can. To be shut out like this hurts. It's obvious that whatever her reasons, it's going to be pretty much impossible to talk to Shizune today. Beyond just being stubborn, she seems depressed, but with the way our conversation is going already, I don't see myself being able to find out what she's depressed about. Somehow, that only makes me want to find out more, and that means I have to ask Misha. The problem is, I don't really know where Misha goes in her spare time. After asking way more people than I should if they've noticed a girl with bright pink hair around, and getting way more negative answers than expected, I finally find a couple who have seen her. By the time I reach the cafeteria, where Misha has apparently been this entire time, I've been around to school twice, and am very tired. I realize I've passed by her before, and just didn't see her behind a pillar. Why are you better finding me than I'm finding you?
You were looking for me, Hichan? Who knows? I think it's just coincidence.
You know, the whole point of coincidences is that they aren't consistent. Are you having a really late lunch?
I didn't get to eat at lunchtime, so yes. But not too much, so I can still have dinner. Did you want to talk to me about something, Hichan?
I don't waste any time. Yeah, the reason I'm here. Did you notice Shizune has been kind of moody today?
I want to ask you the same thing, Hichan. Well, except she's been this way for a couple of days now.
I see.
Hichan, do you think it's because of something I did? Do you think I got upset at Hichan like last time?
No, she seems angrier at me anyway. I'm not lying, I really don't. Unfortunately, my attempts to reassure her of that don't seem to be going so well. In her own way, Misha is pretty stubborn too. Eventually, I just head back to my dorm. The last few days have been nothing but a continuously frustrating experience, and they left me drained. I feel tired enough that I decide to take a nap, hoping that maybe I'll figure things out in my sleep. When I wake up, I feel more refreshed, but still without clarity. The only thing that has changed, that it's dark outside. From opening the window a little, I can tell the weather is still kinda nice. After dry swallowing my nighttime pills, I take a little walk to the vending machines. So, we're going to see something. Something we shouldn't see, probably? Maybe? They're out of everything I'd normally get, so I mash my hand against the buttons until something pops out. The lights are off in the main building, including the student council room. Just an offhand observation. As I'm thinking this to myself, I hear a rustling behind me. I've seen this movie before, and that is a very ominous sound to hear alone at night. Oh, it's Kenji, what the hell? Luckily, it's just Kenji, and he wanders out of the bushes in an unusually cheery mood. Hey! What the hell? Do you just creep up on people at night and casually go, hey, a lot? No, that'd be weird. I knew it was you. I have extremely good night vision. Maybe it's because I'm superhuman. What are you doing here then? I could ask you the same thing. What are you doing here? I considered just telling him the truth, but I quickly decided against it. It would take too long to explain. Howling at the moon? I do that too sometimes. The moon isn't out tonight though. I barely even hear him, feeling a bit resentful at the interruption. I lied to Shizune through my teeth that nothing was wrong. Or, to be more exact, I lied through my hands. And at the exact same time, I was carrying on an entirely different conversation with Misha. That conversation, understandably, could upset Shizune, but there was no way that she could have heard it. Even Misha's hands, usually signing all her thoughts, were completely still. Even if they weren't, I was standing in front of her, blocking them from Shizune's view. The only way that Shizune could listen in on that conversation would be if she could read lips. Pretty much the first thing I had asked about when taking sign language was about lip reading, just out of curiosity. It's not easy, nor is it perfect, so I had never considered it until now. It would make sense, and all the room for misunderstandings while reading lips wouldn't help. So I realized that I could use the cover of darkness to buy milk. Usually I go out when it's raining or I can shroud myself in the sea of bikers or tourists. This is much more consistent. I'm spending too much money on milk now though. You seem kind of mopey out of it or something. Don't think too hard. A man has to be all about action. You can think all about stuff all day, but changing the situation around by doing something is the best way. I do things all the time without thinking about it. That's why in middle school they called me Causes Many Problems. I thought it was cool, sounded like an Indian name. I'm not really in the mood. Having a bad day? Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of distracted right now. So distracted that it doesn't hit me until he leaves that his was actually kind of sound advice. I think Shizune would have given me the same suggestion. By then, it's too late to thank him politely. I already responded in the rudest tone possible. I just feel like an ass. In retrospect, these past few days I've regretted every action I've taken. The worst part is that I haven't taken the time to stew over them, and in doing so, learn from them. This only leads to has led to more regrets. This episode has been going on for a long time. Jesus. But they're keeping up the tension. I want to see what happens. The next morning, as I'm getting dressed, I hear a knock at my door. Quickly putting on the rest of my clothes, I open it, without really stopping to think about who could be behind it. It turns out to be Shizune. Misha told me you were looking for me. I'm a bit hurt that I don't even get a good morning, but it's not too big a deal. I was. But you found me yesterday. I don't remember what kind of voice, because I held a break in between, while recording this episode. So I forgot what kind of voice did I have for Shizune, Jesus. Anyways, Shizune's fingers trace a crack in the wall. It seems like she's trying her best to look distant. Well, I didn't make it easy, did I? It's alright. That's why I'm here. We can talk today. Although, I kind of want to go somewhere else. What about class? It's fine. How about we take a walk around the school? Everywhere except the main building is going to be deserted. The first period bell should be ringing by now. I take a quick glance at my watch and see that she's right. Okay. ... Is there something wrong? Why do you think there's something wrong? Because you're obviously upset. I could just tell. It's what I want to talk to you about. Shizune quickly cracks her knuckles while I sign to her. Apparently, I'm easier to read than I'd thought. I was trying hard to hide it. Can you tell what I'm thinking right now? I don't respond, and Shizune heads towards the door, slowly enough that I can tell she wants me to follow her. Her hands are folded behind her back, which is arched against them as though she's about to bend over backwards at any second. Outside, I see Shizune is right. The school is completely deserted. Although it's not my first time seeing the school like this, it's kinda eerie. Oh, what's this? This is a new screen. Shizune acts almost as though I'm not there, browsing a vending machine and taking a slow and winding path until we end up behind the main building. Plop. Finally, she leans against the wall and faces me, but it's like I've forgotten how to start a conversation. There's a saying, you don't know how much you've screwed up until you screw up. Wait, what is this? Oh God, Shadow of the Truth, again. Who says that? I guess it's me. Reconsidering her train of thought, she waves her hands in frustration. Okay, I'll put it differently. When I was younger, we had to make posters for Earth Day in school. There was another girl in my class whom everyone considered the best artist. It wasn't because she could draw better than anyone else. It was how much she could fit into a single picture. I wanted to be better than her, so I made countless posters until I ended up with the best possible one. I had to be the best and have the greatest one. In the end, everyone liked my poster, and most of all, even the teacher. A week later, it was meaningless. I threw it in the trash. I think I've told you something like this before. Yeah. Wait, what was that she told us before? I can't remember. When I feel like I'm finished, I wish I could just wipe the slate clean, whether I succeed or not. I put Misha through a lot, and even dragged you into it. And every point where I could have solved this silly situation or prevented it from happening in the first place keeps coming back to me. It's the worst feeling, especially when I feel like I've done nothing right and everything wrong, like recently. It's the worst kind of failure. I feel like a failure on every level. I wish I could wipe away everything I've done and just be alone, since all I've done is mess with Misha for 2 years, and jerk you around a year for selfish reasons. It's fine. No, it's not. You don't understand. I was just thinking about it. Everything I do feels like I have to beat someone else. Everyone else, even. If that is how it is, then what are my relationships with people? They almost feel the same. I can see where this is going. The point is that I've messed up so many people by being selfish, and now I want to be away from other people for a while. Oh, fuck no. Oh, is this the bad end after all? Okay, let's make any assumptions. This could, even me. There's a pause. Yes. Yeah, okay. Fuck. Followed by an even longer pause, this time from me. I see. That's the most selfish thing you could do. It's just you making another decision by yourself. For a minute, it looks as though she's considering the best way to respond, but in the end, she simply nods, which I think is the best way to respond anyway. It's very like her to be roundabout even now, but ultimately without excuses. All my emotions simmer inside me. I see a kettle in front of me, water rolling inside it, so close that I can touch it and feel the heat radiating off of it. I'm glad for the distraction, because I know there's no recourse or bargaining possible.
You told me everything was fine, but it wasn't true, was it? I can't believe it ever again then.
Alright. Not even bothering to sign it, I stand up. My hands are in my pockets, fingering my loose change. The morning air is cold against my face. Oh! Oh! Dude! As I look back on her, she seems very lonely. I'm reminded of myself. I've made that expression before. Maybe it's on my face right now. It feels like the image of such a lonely girl will stick in my mind forever. Every moment where I could have prevented this or solved the problem comes back to me. It makes me smile in a way without amusement. So I take it that that was the bad end for the route. That was a long, I mean, like the motives behind her, I suppose, breakdown, are clear. Like they are obvious on why did that occur. And I can't say I liked the route. I mean, I did, but fuck. This was just kind of lame. I'm hoping that the good ending is going to be kind of better. Let's see, extras, library, terminal, early morning talk, which is in the science school. So there's 4 more. So there's 4 more chapters. Well, I guess that's where we are going to end up this episode of Katawa Shoujo. I'm sorry I didn't really have anything too much to say. I'm going to probably go through it a bit more accurately after I finish the good end. Hopefully in the next 1 or 2 episodes. Thank you guys for watching. My name is Negacious. If you did enjoy, make sure to comment down below. Any constructive criticism, positive feedback, negative feedback even, is welcome. If you did like the video, make sure to click the like button. I appreciate your appreciation. And if you want to see my content whenever it comes online, make sure to click subscribe and the bell button next to the subscribe button. That way you'll make doubly sure that those videos come into your sub tab the moment they come online. My name is Negacious. I appreciate that you watched the video, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.